Welcome to MWEB's Entrepreneur Zone. Today I'm with Melanie from Ama Zen Promotional Modelling. Welcome, Melanie.
Hi, thank you very much.
Tell us a bit about your business.
Basically, what we do is we found the balance between promotions and modelling. So we supply staffing for brand activations that are of modelling quality, but are also functional and able to converse with clients, target publics, and represent brands in the public arena.
And what gap in the market did you see there?
A lot of companies just put warm bodies in places to be there and represent a brand. But we felt that there was definitely a gap between promotions and modelling, where we took people that are of model quality, but that are intelligent and able to converse well with target publics and effectively represent a client's brand. We do a lot in the automotive industry, particularly we have been doing a lot for Land Rover and Jaguar, where our brand ambassadors are trained thoroughly on the product knowledge, placed on the stand, and as customers come through the mall, they can stop and ask about the car, and our brand ambassadors are qualified and know their product well enough to be able to educate consumers about the product.
So a big part of what you have to do is then find the right people. How do you go about doing that?
A lot of it is word of mouth. We do a lot of Facebook recruitment as well, and we also go out when we're outdooring and socializing. Also, if you see a pretty face, rope them in to come and sign up, and so they're handpicked by us.
So it is true that you just discover people on the sidewalk.
A lot of modelling agencies exclude a lot of people because they don't necessarily meet height requirements, which is where we are slightly different, because a girl or guy can be absolutely mind-blowing, but they don't necessarily have the height, so they wouldn't get a job in the modelling arena, but yet they get exposed to high-end events through us.
And obviously the quality of kind of the activation and the engagement with the public is really important to your clients. How do you make sure that the people you've employed deliver that service?
We tend to take on people, I think, that largely are an extension of who we are and who our morals and values are as a company. But we also, in them coming to sign up, we also look at what they're studying, how they converse, what their confidence levels are like, and we will run through the general skills with them, the soft skills, sort of how to stand, how to engage customers, not to chew gum, not to be on their cell phones. And from that you generally get a good feel of sort of their intellect and how well they would cope in a public environment and dealing with customers asking questions.
In terms of the customer service that you give, because obviously you want to keep your clients happy with the people that you give and differentiate yourself from where else they could get models. How do you go about differentiating yourself?
We take a very hands-on approach. So at every single event we have management arrive to meet the staffing, to be basically the buffer between the client and the promotional models. So that takes a large element of stress away from the client, which allows them to breathe easy, and they don't have to worry about who's running late, who's not dressed in time, so on and so forth. We also take an approach of, we look at every problem that could be encountered and try to control that as far as we possibly can to eliminate the problems. So I'd say largely we differentiate ourselves on service, and our people basically are an extension of who we are.
I presume it's an industry where there's a lot of based on relationships between the agencies and yourself, and how do you work in building those relationships and partnerships?
We always make sure that we keep our service consistent, so that they know that they can rely on us and they know they can trust us. They know that we have their best interests at heart, we're not just after their money.
Melanie, I think one of the difficulties in the market is that you find maybe a model with a few friends who decides that they're going to try and do this for a while, and it creates a bit of competition and disturbance in the market. How do you differentiate from those suppliers?
It's definitely challenging, because if you type in promotions on Google, there's 45 companies that come up. You've got to try firstly and separate yourself from the clutter. I think the key to differentiation with that is that firstly we have 10 years of experience behind us. We obviously have the in-depth knowledge and know-how of marketing and brand activations. And eventually, clients are going to see through that, and they're going to want a better return on investment rather than pretty girls next to a brand.
How do you let people down gently that don't meet the requirements?
It's always a tricky one, but mostly what we will do is send them an email and just tell them that unfortunately their application was not successful.
A bit like idols.
Something like that, except at least it's not public humiliation.
You must get some strange requests as well from people in terms of what they want you to supply models for.
Yes, we do. We've had our fair share. The one that stands out to me is when a client wanted cheerleaders for their year-end function, and that's fine. That's really no problem at all. The problem came in is when they wanted them to sing a war cry and act like lesbians. That was when it got a little bit tricky, because not everyone's game for those kinds of things. Needless to say, we did let the client know that unfortunately that's not something that we do, because we generally have a set of guidelines and standards that we need to adhere to, obviously, to maintain the level of staff that we do.
Is it a seasonal business? So do you find in summer you have more than in winter?
From about January, I think for everybody is dead. But sort of February, March, it picks up a bit. I think with Valentine's Day and Easter and all of that. June, July, yes, it definitely dies down. And then from about August, it starts picking up, and then we run like crazy from August through to December.
And how do you manage your cash flow with that seasonality?
Generally, we operate on a principle that clients always have to pay a 50% deposit up front, and then the balance of every job is paid as soon as the job is completed. So in that way, it is kind of managed, because you're doing the job, the money's coming in, you can pay the suppliers that were used on each specific job. It can be challenging at times, obviously, because, well, especially when it comes to June, July, but that's where you make the most of your busy season, so you can build up the reserves.
And I mean, have you had circumstances where at an activation something's gone wrong and then you've had to deal with the client?
Absolutely. It's a very almost embarrassing situation to be faced with, but I think the key, and I think what's really served us, is that we are very honest with the client. I think there are too many companies out there that tell lies, that so-and-so was in a car accident or something along those lines. Whereas, I think on some level people will know when you're lying. Even if they don't know for a case, for fact, they'll have an inkling, and I think you lose a lot of respect like that.
In terms of brand ambassadors, how long does a campaign last and run for?
It varies between campaigns. You obviously get the once-offs where it's a golf day here and there, but a lot of them seem to be shifting towards the longer type of campaigns, where it will be in a mall, for example, and it will move between malls every week, but the campaign will run over a period of 3 months, and they'll be working 6 days a week. Which tend to be, I think the reason clients are moving towards that is because they actually then get a dedicated team to their brand that are trained and well versed on their brand, and which obviously serves them better. They get a better return on investment.
There's a big trend towards social media and also a trend towards activations. Have you seen kind of any way that you've been able to integrate those two things?
Yes, actually, we've done recently a campaign for Business Day where they used Twitter as a means to create a hype, but it was here on the corner of William Nicol and Jan Smuts. They set up a breakfast table, and they wanted good-looking male models dressed in business suits, so it looked like a very serious business meeting taking place, while there were other promoters walking through the traffic with signboards saying #BusinessDay. And the amount, so combining the two created quite a hype because there was things like what's going on at the corner of William Nicol. There's some good-looking men there. Would love to join them for breakfast. So it definitely created a lot of hype around before business day and what they were trying to achieve. So in that aspect, I definitely think there is a way to link the two.
Where to next for your business?
I think expanding our footprint in Cape Town and Durban. Cape Town on the cards first. There's definitely a broader scope there. There's definitely a gap there for good promotional agencies down there. And obviously just expanding our service offering more towards and starting to focus more on the flash mobs and aiming towards the viral marketing.
Thanks, Melanie. That brings us to our rapid fire questions. What's the best advice you've ever received?
If you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
And your best moment as an entrepreneur?
I would definitely put that as the signing off our first 1 million rand job.
And your biggest mistake?
Trusting the wrong people.
What quality do you look for in people that you work with?
Passion, heart, and integrity.
And what quality does an entrepreneur need to succeed?
I definitely think an entrepreneur, you need to believe in yourself.
What's your biggest inspiration as a small business owner?
I know that the sky's my limit and only I can limit myself. Nobody else can do that for me.
And what would you do differently?
Trust myself more, be able to take more risks.
What makes South Africa a great place to be a small business owner?
The fact that there's very little red tape in terms of legislation, and the culture definitely welcomes innovation.
What keeps you awake at night?
Cash flow.
And what gets you going in the morning?
The fact that every new day is a new opportunity and a new learning experience.
Thank you, Melanie.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us. We look forward to the coming weeks. We will bring you further South African entrepreneurs. I'm Paul Hobden. Thank you and goodbye.